Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I'd like to talk about is Tudor watches. I'm going to talk about them in a very specific and general sense that everyone may not be used to seeing. I call the name of the video Tudor Ascending because I see something here that is growing in a way that I hadn't recognized. Now, maybe I'm the only one who hasn't noticed that, but I thought it might be something interesting for you. I'm going to start off. You have Rolex and Tudor are both owned by the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. When Wilsdorf started off, he started the Rolex and then he had the Tudor, and he wanted the Tudor for something a little more affordable. In other words, people who couldn't afford a Rolex, they could get a Tudor and still have a nice watch. And so it's sort of seen as a lot of different things, like a Rolex wannabe, a poor man's Rolex, things like that. But it has, I think, characteristics on its own. And one of the most interesting ones is the development of Kinesi. Kinesi, I think, was a movement-making company, and then it was bought by Tudor. Chanel bought 20% of it, and a number of other watches are using movements from it, many of which have the base movement is in a Tudor movement. And so it's, rather than being this sort of the little sister, you might say, and the not too attractive little sister, it's really something more. It's more like sort of the innovative arm. Now, some things about it that are sort of interesting. The development of the silicone hairspring was done by Rolex, Swatch, and Patek Philippe. Swatch and Patek Philippe went all out on it, and all of their watches, their new watches, they're all using the silicone hairspring for a lot of different reasons. But Rolex used the parachrome hairspring made from transitional metals, and so it was like, well, I'm going to sort of hang on to the tradition, and it's also a hairspring that can be modified, adjusted to sort of like in a curb regulator. Tudor, on the other hand, I didn't know what they were going to do with it, because, when we talk about Rolex and being part of a larger group of watchmakers doing something, we're really talking about the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, which owns both Tudor and Rolex. So what I started looking for is, what's happening with the silicone hairsprings? Are they moving over? Are they coming out in Tudor? And did Rolex want to decide, well, I'm going to hold back until I see the reaction? It's sort of like sending out Tudor, and if Tudor gets beat up, well, that's too bad. But if they don't, then it's not. Now, Kinesi manufacturer also makes movements for Fortis, Norquain, Tag Heuer, Bell & Ross, and Ultramarine. And what essentially they're able to do, to some extent, is to use all of the really strong Rolex-Tudor technology in their own movements, or movements they'll call their own movements, even though they're based in something else. Now, Chanel caliber 12.1, I didn't realize this because they look so different, but it's based on the 5402. The MT stands for manufacturer Tudor. The 5402 is one of those. And like I said, now Chanel owns 20%. Chanel also owns 20% of FP Journe, and about what they refer to as a friendly interest in Romain Gauthier. So they've got sort of, they got this high end. Now, the caliber 12.1 is used in the Chanel J12, both the men and women's versions of it. Now, in looking at Tudor, over the years, for the last, I don't know, I just took it back for the last 3 years, every single year, there's a Tudor that wins some prize. And this last year, it was for the sports prize. The year before that, in 2022, was for the diver prize. By the way, the sports prize used to be the diver prize. Now they changed the name back to sport prize. And before that, the 2021 was the Petite Aiguille prize. This is for watches under, I believe it's under $10,000. But it's still, though, I mean, Rolex never has won anything from the Grand Prix. But Tudor keeps winning. Well, Rolex also entered once in 2007, didn't even make nominations, and never went back again. Whereas Tudor gets sent every single year and wins every single year. The other thing about Tudor is that the models, now, they have a wide range of models, and here are the main ones. There are some other ones, too, that have different kinds of movements that are cheaper ones than MT, manufacturer Tudor. The Ranger is sort of the very inexpensive, well, relatively speaking, $29.75. Now, the Black Bay, there are so many different Black Bays, what's called Black Bays. I decided I was going to go with the Black Bay GMT model, by the way, which is a new one. This particular one is a new one with Tudor 4050. By the way, too, you'll see that at the bottom down there, you have the movement, the caliber number, and then they all say COSC. They also, at least for the Black Bay and the Pelagos, both of them use silicone hairsprings. That's become sort of the thing with them. Now, with the silicone hairspring, it's a lot easier to get the COSC certification, and which is sort of interesting because there used to be an annual prize for how accurate a watch was, and the Japanese came in with their quartz watches and just blew everybody away, and so they quit having it, quit having the contest. And so here's quartz, well, it's not quartz, but silicon is back. And so here you have a hairspring that you cannot adjust, but you can set up to not change in a very positive way. In other words, the heat and different kinds of things is totally not affected by magnets, and we're surrounded by them, and that was a big deal. So I see Tudor really going someplace. It's getting more and more difficult to get a Rolex. A lot of people say, well, I'll get a Tudor instead. Got a lot of different models. Be very interested in seeing your reaction and what you think about this. If you own a Tudor, I'd like to hear from it. If it's sort of pre-silicon, I'd like to hear, and post-silicon too. Let me know. This is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.